What is going on, everybody? I am back today with another topic video, and this is all going to be about the state of the movie industry right now. And I thought it was really interesting. I've seen a lot of creators talking about this week, but there was an article released that the top 10 most popular movies in the United States in 2024 were all sequels. And I think this is the first time in history that this has ever happened. And it's created a lot of conversation online about the state of the industry and whether or not people crave individual content. Obviously, there's a chance that this will change because I think Wicked is on track to make like $1 billion. So I'm sure that that's going to shift the dynamic of where these kind of line up, but that's still a majority of sequels that are going to be on that list. And I just thought about talking about it a little bit today because I think that there, like every conversation, there's a lot of nuance in this conversation, and that it's a little bit more complicated than just like, oh, Americans don't want new and unique ideas. Because I don't think it's as simple as like, oh, people don't want new ideas or they don't want new content. I don't necessarily think that's the case. I think a large part of this is due to product of circumstance and due to just like the current state of the economy in the world and where people spend their money. And I'm going to talk about it a little bit today. So, like I said, for starters, when I look at it from kind of my own personal perspective, I'm obviously someone who loves to watch movies. I review a movie a day or do some kind of topic video or something every single day. And I am an AMC Stubs member. I pay $20 or whatever a month to see 3 movies a week. And it's an incredibly good deal because, especially if you go see movies in IMAX or in the Dolby Digital screen or anything like that, those tickets can get up to like $16 or $19 a ticket. And so, like, if I go 2 or 3 times in a week, I've paid for my whole month. It doesn't really matter to me as much as like what movies I'm going to go see each week, because like regardless of the quality, I get to watch a lot of movies, and I think that that's really cool. But your average family in America is probably not paying for themselves and all of their kids to get AMC Stubs membership or whatever Cinemarks is or any of these other theaters. And so because of that, people, especially in the United States of America, are very selective about what movies they watch. And I think this obsession with sequels stems from the quality of the original film. I think what drives people to go to the theater and watch a movie now is oftentimes what is the content that it's related to. Because if you look at some of the movies in the past couple of years that have won Best Picture at the Oscars or that have made decent money, what is the common denominator in those? What makes them so special? I mean, if you look at the year Everything Everywhere All at Once won all those Academy Awards, incredibly unique idea, fantastically well directed. There's so many great things about that movie, but I think what allowed it to make more money and what helped it appeal to general audiences more is because of how similarly presented in the trailer it was to a lot of like big budget Marvel action movies. Obviously, the Daniels didn't have anywhere near that amount of money, but because of the way that it was marketed and the ingenious way it was put out there, and because it's a really incredible movie, word of mouth brought people out to watch that. But when you look at this list of movies that was incredibly popular this year, a big part of it is because if people have seen the original film and said, oh, I really loved that, it's not really risky to take my family to see that, because even if it's not as good, we'll probably still enjoy it. I mean, I think the highest grossing of all the movies in the top 10 this year was Inside Out 2. And Disney made a statement, I think earlier this year or late last year, that they weren't going to focus on sequels and that they were going to put out original content. But a lot of their original content has done horrible. If you think of movies like Elemental, that just bombed in the box office, didn't do as well as Disney thought that they were going to do. Disney's original content isn't necessarily there in quality. And so people came out in droves to see Inside Out 2 because of how much they loved the original. And families see that as kind of like a safe bet, or like Despicable Me 4. Young kids love the Minions. And so families will take their kids to go watch those movies. Deadpool and Wolverine, an existing product that's already been out there, that people love the character of Deadpool. They love Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. They're going to go out in droves and watch these movies, no matter what the reviews reviews are. The Beetlejuice sequel, same thing, beloved classic. Even if people haven't seen it in years, they hold some sort of nostalgia for the character. So all of these movies, when you go down this list, it's like, okay, there's some sort of nostalgia, or there's something that people are holding on to, which causes it to be an easier thing for families to just be like, yeah, I'll go spend my money there. I'll put my money in on this because of the fact that they're familiar with the product. But I don't necessarily think that that means that this is like the death of original cinema, because there are always going to be people like me, and I'm sure a lot of you out there that watch my content, that crave original cinema. And movies do well in the box office. Longlegs did really well this year. There are a ton of movies that you can go through in independent cinema that did really well. I mean, the thing is, independent film will always do decently. It's never going to do to the levels of these movies, and it's disappointing that we as a culture are kind of shifting in a different direction. But I think that it's because people are getting pickier and choosier with their money, especially when the going to the movies has become a luxury item. It's very expensive. I can't imagine being parents of like 4 kids and taking your entire to the movies and getting them snacks and paying for gas, like everything to get your kids to that place. It's very difficult and it's hard. And it's like, for me, I don't have any kids, so like going to the theater, it's a very cheap experience with AMC A-list. Like there's ways to do it to stay affordable, but that's not the case for every single person. And so because these movies being successful is not really shocking to me in any way, shape, or form. And I know a lot of people, it's really disheartening to them. And sure, like it can be disheartening when like Inside Out 2 is the biggest movie of the year, but people will still go watch original content. There will always be support there for independent cinema, or even like original content made by bigger budget studios. I'm not convinced that this is like the signs of the end times for the theater industry. I think people will continue to go watch good movies, and I think as long as directors will create quality art, those movies will succeed. It's just hard to compete with a name anymore because of how important those IPs have become over time. And I just think it's a really fascinating conversation surrounding that idea and why these movies have become more successful. And I think a lot of times people get really like quick to be like, oh, it's just because a majority of America is dumb, or oh, it's because people just don't understand the importance of like art house or independent film. And I don't think that's the case. I think a lot more of it is where people are putting their money and why they're spending their money that way. But as always, I'd love to hear what your opinion is on that. Do you guys think the same way? Do you agree with me? I think it's a fascinating conversation. I've been reading about it all week. I've heard a lot of really interesting opinions, and as always, I would love to hear yours. And as always, guys, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, it helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.